Good morning everybody, and once again welcome back to the video. In this video you are going to learn about partial updates in Apache Hudi. What are partial updates? Why would you want to consider learning about it, followed by a small simple lab. So let's get started with the video. So the first thing that we're going to do is, hey, what is partial updates, right? So let me answer that question. I'm going to read a couple of sentences and then we're going to proceed to a small lab. Partial updates refer to the ability to modify specific field or attributes within the dataset without requiring a complete rewrite of the entire dataset. With partial updates, only the changed portion of the data are updated, resulting in reduced I/O operation and improved processing speed. Also one more very good use case is, let's say in your data lake you have some null values. Now to improve the data quality, you might want to set the default value, right? In this case also you could use partial updates. So we're going to see now partial updates in action with a small lab. So let's get started with the lab session. Just before I dive deep into the code, I just want to let you know that there is a complete article on LinkedIn which has all the steps, and also the code is readily available on the blog post. So now let's get started with the first part. So defining imports and Spark session. So sharing my screen over here. As you can see, I'm defining OS, sys, UUID, PySpark, and then datetime object, faker. And over here, as you can see on line number 25, I'm essentially submitting a package called Apache Hudi 0.13 for Spark bundle 3.3. After that, I create a Spark session and then I print the Spark session on line number 39. So now we would need some dataset to play with. So I have a simple function which will generate some fake dataset about a customer, such as salary and other details. So let's take a look at the class. So hopefully you guys can see my screen, right? So here I'm defining from faker, import faker. I have a simple function called customer, which will have a customer ID, a name, a city, a state, the email address, the created ad, and the salary. Now, for learning purposes, to again teach you partial updates, the salary thing, sometimes it can be a null object, meaning some people might not have a salary, or for some reason it was a null. So we might want to basically later on set a default value, which I'll show you using partial updates. So again, this is a function which is going to generate some fake data. Now, since we are going to work with the Apache Hudi, it's a good idea to define a function that will perform an upsert instead of writing that code again and again. So let me show you that function. A pretty straightforward function. This is called a def upsert Hudi. It takes a database name, a table name, a record ID, a precom key. Precom key usually used for dedupe purposes, and usually it is timestamp. A Spark data frame, table type as copy on write, method is upsert, and all this does is basically performs an upsert on Apache Hudi transaction data lake. Now what we're going to do is we're going to call that function get customer data, which is going to generate some fake data, and then we're going to perform an upsert on the Hudi data lake, and then I'm going to show you the partial updates after that. Okay. All right. So again, pretty straightforward. I define a table schema. Again, the columns that I have, an appropriate data type, and then I create a Spark data frame. As you can see, Spark.create data frame. I provide the schema. I provide the list of tuples. And then here is how the data looks like. I just have 4 customers just so I can show you things nicely. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here you can see in the salary over here for customer number 3, Elizabeth, we have a null value, which we will again set a default value using a partial updates. So we have a Spark data frame. At this point now we can use the method that we defined earlier called upsert into Hudi, so we can create a transaction data lake. So over here, again, I'm calling the function upsert Hudi table. I provide in the database name. I provide in the table name as dim_customer. The record key is customer ID. The precom key is customer ID. The Spark data frame, table type as copy on write, method as upsert. And again, this will create a Hudi transactional data lake, and this is a sample preview of the data frame object. Again, as you can see, the salary is null, and this is a Hudi commit time. So now again we have a Hudi table, right, where some value in the salary items are null, which we will again try to perform a partial update and fill that in. So now let's see some example and use cases of partial updates. Okay. Now let's see a very simple use case first, and then again we'll do some backfilling operation as well. The first use case is, let's say for a customer, I want to update an email address field or a state or a city, right? How do you do that? So let me show you how to do that. Okay. So again, I have a list of objects called changed item. Again, this is where I have my primary key, which is the customer ID. And this is the changed item that I want to change, the state and the city. And I create a Spark data frame and I provide the table schema. And as you can see, this is how the data looks like. So you have a customer one, and again, this is the new information, Connecticut, and the city as Stamford. Okay, so now we're gonna basically perform the partial update. So that data frame, now I'm gonna perform an upsert operation. As you can see over here, I call the function upsert Hudi table. And if I do a preview over here, now observe carefully. As you can see, customer number one, as you can see, the state is now changed to Connecticut. The city is Stamford, as you can see. So the update was successfully applied to that particular customer ID. So important thing to remember is when you do perform the partial update, please make sure to provide that table schema. That's important. Now let me show you a very amazing use case which a lot of you might want to use, is the backfilling use case. Now you remember I told you that we have one of the customers with the salary was null. I showed you, right? You can go back on the video and see that. Now let's basically set a default value where the salary is null, right? So this is again to do improve the data quality. So let's see that. So I have the path of a Hudi transactional data lake on line number 3, and then what I do is basically I create a snapshot called new underscore snapshot, right? And then I say select customer ID, colasses name, empty strings. So let's focus on line 14, colasses salary. So this means okay, if you have a salary, take the value. If you do not find a salary value, use the default value as 0 from new snapshot where salary is null. So basically what this means, okay, give me all the guy whose salary is null, and if you don't find the salary value, use the default value as 0, right? So we do that, and then again, now all we gotta do, as you can see, this is how the data set looks like, the preview data set. So Elizabeth, and if you observe the salary, here is the default, because for Elizabeth the salary was null, right? So the default value is now 0. Now we can perform an upsert on the Hudi transactional data lake and again do a preview to see if these changes are being reflected or not. So let's do that. Now as you can see over here, I perform an upsert on the Hudi transactional data lake, right? And then I'm again reading from the Hudi data lake. So as you can see over here, observe the salary as 0, right? So this has been updated in the Hudi transactional data lake, right? And also for customer number 1, we updated this the state and the city. So here you can see the Connecticut and Stamford. So this is how you can use partial updates in Apache Hudi to maybe perform backfilling, maybe update certain attributes or field in data lake. Thank you so much for watching. All the references are given in the description section below, so you can read and follow through it if you have any questions, right? With that being said, there is an article on LinkedIn, as well as the entire code that I have executed on the Jupyter notebook could be found on my blog section, so you can download that. And if you still have any questions after reviewing the materials, you can always put a comment on this video or on the article or on the blog. And if I do not know, I'll probably ask someone, learn myself, and let you know. With that being said, keep smiling, keep programming, and I'll see you guys in the next video.